Now presenting Mr. Mike Coyne, Governor's Hurricane Conference Board member representing the National Weather Service.
Good afternoon, everyone. Our next award is the Tropical Meteorology Award. It's presented to an individual or organization that has made outstanding or substantial contributions to the advancement and knowledge, application, or understanding of the hurricane forecasting and warning process in the state of Florida. Since 2004, Mr. Mike Boylan has been educating people about trends, model runs, and everything else tropical weather related through his website. He does not forecast, but his dedication and contributions to the citizens of Florida and providing tropical weather information in layman's terms, helping to explain what the forecast trends mean and how to follow all the extensive maps, charts, and graphs located on his website, Mike's weather page, aka spaghettymodels.com. The 2021 Tropical Meteorology Award goes to Mike Boylan of Mike's weather page.
Just click on Mike's page, jump on the nation. Well, there'll always be some haters, but they don't understand. Mike's got a friend and 100,000 more across the land. Well, if you want to know it first and you want to know it right and you want to have time to plan, Drunk Donkey Nation tells your friend, Mike, he's your man. And he's gonna tell you all about the wind and the rain. Gonna tell you if it's gonna be a storm or if it's gonna be a hurricane. Don't you worry about the news others try to hide. Click on Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nationwide. Yeah, here on Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nationwide.
All right, good morning. What is up, man? Things are changing, happening fast. 12Z models just came out, I just posted, so we're going to talk about it. Tropics are waking up a little bit for not Longo. Longo's the yawningest dog on the planet. He just woke up. I might have to swap him out for Louie because he's very excited. But welcome, everyone. My name is Mike, and we talk tropics. We yawn together. He did 5 yawns yesterday. I bet you he'll do another one. Yeah, so what's up, man? Things are happening. You know, we always look for model consistency, and we see trends, and we see reasons, and definitely seeing a not say no stress yet, because definitely everybody on the East Coast, Bahamas too, looks like we're going to be seeing a developing Imelda. And every post that I do saying next Monday, they assume it's October. Like, no, this Monday coming up, like 4 days, not the following week. So, but this is our new dog. I know we got new people coming in. I just want to introduce him. We're going to go right into the weather today. He replaced Hunter. He's a good replacement. I think he's 5 months old officially today. Is that what Mommy told me? He's 5 months old. This might be your first U.S. impact hurricane. I got to change my light here. I changed it for the interview. I like the orange look. Whoops, that ain't it. Where are we going there now? A little more orange. There we go. So, we're not going to say much hellos. We say hello every single day. Little disclaimer, my name is Mike. I'm in Tampa Bay, Oldsmar. I'm not a meteorologist. Been doing this for 21 years. Appreciate those that follow along. We like to look long range. We like to look at all possibilities. I'm going to show you that. Not try to scare you, give you hype. Some still think I do, and that's fine. But totally understand, if you think it's hype, National Weather Service, National Hurricane Center, always advise you to go there first. If you want a little bit more in depth, some thoughts, personal experiences, then here you go. All right, and I do cover all tropics. Okay, a lot of times I get a comment like, "That's not coming to Florida. Why do you care?" Well, because we have followers, and please chime in if you're living in South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, because we've covered everywhere, not just the United States. Okay, so I get a lot of people get confused when I'm talking about a system and nobody else in Tampa might be, and I still am. It's because there's people watching not from Tampa Bay. So if you see somebody doing that, say, "Hey, listen, man, my cover's more than just Tampa Bay." And I will be heading up there. Yes, the storm track chase. So I'm going to be swinging by my dad's here in a little bit and get the Rand McNally, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia maps, paper maps. And but a lot can change. None of this is official. But Spaghetti Models is what the website's name is, and you can learn a lot from Spaghetti. Okay. So anyway, our ABC Fine Wine and Spirits located here in Florida. We just had 2 awesome meet and greets. We love them to death. They had a cool video out there. We can't thank them enough for all that they do. I want to do one more shout out to my good friends from Tiger Dam, Paul. They do a lot of stuff here across the South with their massive dams that they actually put up along the beaches. They just did a big concert down in Mexico, but they also have an awesome home unit. And we have a lot of flooding going on in the Northeast right now currently. A lot of flooding up in the Northeast, Maine, I believe. So they have an awesome home kit. And we have Amazon Prime Day coming up, and they actually sell them on Amazon. So I just want to do a shout out. Anybody that's worried about flooding, it's a great product. But here's the latest. Here's the water vapor loop. All right, we're going to go right into the weather, I promise. So that's everything in a nutshell. Now, what I went to bed last night. Listen, little birdie just called me. The center might actually be a little bit to the south than what they are indicating, okay? All that means is it might shift things just a little bit more to the west, all right? That big bubble of convection last night from Puerto Rico was a telling sign of that might be where it's trying to get going. Well, now it's over Hispaniola. There's really no true center right now, but if you look at the water vapor imagery, there's a lot of moisture down there, okay? And for weeks we've been talking about this MJO, the La Nina, the water temps, and I want to remind you, if I forget, Aaron and Gabrielle formed into Cat 4, Cat 5s over 82 degrees water, okay? It takes a lot more than water temperatures, but the water temperatures in that Caribbean are hotter. So anything sneaky. We do have a front coming down. There could be some wind shear. It might not be the most ideal conditions for this thing to rapidly intensify. However, we also know that storms have been doing that in the last several years unexpectedly, okay? So we really need to watch this close. We get a high pressure to the north, we might have that wind shear that the front line is introducing. So we're going to keep a really close eye on this, and I'm going to show you all the latest. But this is the basic system we're going to be watching, this circle right here. This is Invest 94. This is Humberto. We're going to show you that one. It still looks like it's going to miss Bermuda. And the Azores, I'm going to show you one quick graphic, has Old Gabrielle. There's a front line coming down. This is going to dissolve. Looks like we got a high pressure building back in. We talked about this a lot yesterday. 2 systems creating a bubble between them of high pressure, and that's kind of what looks like it's happening. Okay, 2 strong systems do not absorb into each other, so that's kind of what's happened. All right, let me show you some stuff here. So here's the latest maps. This gives you an idea. It's 90% chance now. What does that mean? This cone is not really a tracking cone. Okay, it's a development cone. That's where they believe that the system can develop. Okay, so it could develop anywhere. That's what their purpose of this is, okay? Real quick, I told you I'd mention Gabrielle. Hurricane warnings are up for the islands of Portugal there, the Azores with Portugal, and believe it or not, Spain and Portugal are going to get effects this weekend. So there you go. Unbelievable to see a storm goes due east, back where it all began. This Gabrielle just did a full circle. Crazy. All right, real quick, just because I know we got people in Bermuda. Just I treat everybody the same. There's Bermuda. This does appear that it's going to be passing off to your west. Good news. It could be a major hurricane by then. They are expecting this thing to possibly be a major hurricane as it passes. Here's what it looks like. Big bubble of convection. Definitely getting organized. So it'll be hurricane soon. Okay, here's what we're going to focus on the rest of the talk here. So this is Invest 94. 90% chance. It's got to clear Hispaniola before it can try to get any sort of low-level spin. We were in the Dominican Republic one time, and low-level spin actually is lower than mountaintops. The mountaintops are so high in Hispaniola, Haiti, and Dominican Republic that it disrupts the dang circular spin of the clouds. It's like a wall. So maybe that's what we could do with hurricanes if we don't want to build some big ship. Maybe Elon can build us something that like puts a wall up that disrupts the lower level circulation. But anyway, it's got to clear that, then it's going to have a chance. So obviously heavy rain in Turks and Caicos. You know that. We got a lot of rain in Puerto Rico. I got the Puerto Rico radar up. A lot of rain in short term. That's coming. Bahamas are watching, obviously, for this weekend. Common sense there. The question is going to be how fast it can develop. Is it going to be weak? Coastal skirt along Florida could be bad just because of waves. You know, a lot of sand nourishment has been taking place. So, and it does appear that it's trending a little bit to the west. Okay, I don't talk about yesterday's steam was no stress yet because there was such a wide range of ideas. It would have been silly to pick one and get everybody worked up because the other one might have came. Well, the one that is showing up is this more trend now. All right, heavy rain too. Don't forget this. I'm starting to see some rain maps. I'm going to show you into the mountains of the Carolinas that could bring some maybe double-digit rains. So that could, we got a low, leftover low that could be lingering in those upper-level lows, fuel systems. So we could have a lot of rain with this system too. Now, here is the breaking news. I hate using breaking news, but it is kind of breaking news because that is a big shift in spaghetti models, okay? 12Z models here on tropicaltidbits.com. They come out every 6 hours. Totally have been trending off. And now look at that turn at the end, all right? High pressure appears to be building. When high pressure builds, there's nowhere to go. So that's significant. And the reason it's significant, I keep telling myself, why am I acting? Because when we looked at spaghetti models and operational models for storms like Aaron, they were 10 plus days away. We're talking about a system here that Monday morning could be bringing bands to somebody, okay? So it's not like we're looking long range. We start to have to believe these models this close, okay? They bounce around when models are far away, days away. They don't really bounce around too much. There's a lot of variables of what's going on here. Humberto's slowing down. Originally, this system was going to follow Humberto, right? Humberto was going to make a big old, break in that high pressure, and this was going to follow along. Well, guess what? Humberto's slowing down because of reacting to no steering currents, and now this system is actually going to keep doing what it was always going to do, and it's changed. This isn't going to follow Humberto, it appears. So it's definitely significant. Intensity isn't too scary, I always cautious these models. I cautious only Cat 1. We know flooding can be a huge problem. So these models, take them with a grain of salt. Sometimes they're highly aggressive. Sometimes they're not. The H-Wharf yesterday, or the H-Haas was showing a Cat 5 yesterday. So intensity models are going to bounce around. It really depends on what happens and how fast it gets organized over the Bahamas. So, if you've been following me for years, to me, the intensity models are just 50-50. There's got to be a little common sense along the way with the conditions that are ahead. We saw that with Dorian. Dorian's first National Hurricane Center advisory had it as a tropical storm hitting Florida. It turned out to be one of the strongest Cat 5s ever. So we worry about track more than anything right now because you shouldn't base anything anymore on Cat strengths. Cat 1 Beryl last season, Cat 1 Beryl was the strongest hurricane, one of the stronger hurricanes I've been in, and I've been in like 8 majors now. Every storm is different. Every storm can bring different impacts. Florence was a Cat 1 to that area. They know all too well. Believe it or not, Helene technically wasn't a hurricane when it neared the mountains. It was, it was leftover storm. It was not a hurricane. So, it doesn't have to be a hurricane. I just have to remind that from my experiences that too many people say, oh, it's only going to be a Cat 1. It's only going to be a Cat 2. So we don't underhype a storm because of Cat strength. That's for sure. Here's what it looks like. There's that big bubble under Hispaniola. It's just a wave right now. There's really no defined, but you just gotta common sense watch these things. There's an axis, big wave axis they call it, and it's just kind of firing on that thing. But that's just interesting. We'll see. It's got to clear Hispaniola until we really have any idea those little wiggles and wobbles. But anybody in Bahamas, especially Florida, I'd be watching this thing close. No, that's not fear. That's not hype. It's just I'd be watching this thing. Okay, 100% watching Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. So what's making this all happen? So these are European blend EPS. It's not just one run. It's basically reads the whole upper atmosphere with 51 members. And this is kind of what we were showing yesterday. If these two highs combined, there'd be nowhere to go. Okay, and that appears to be happening. What I've seen over the years, and we, been talking this theory, sometimes that high will build between two systems. And when you get a high that builds between Humberto and future Imelda, it'll push them, or at least repel, not attract. Future war effects, usually a weaker system gets absorbed. And that was why the Euro and GFS were showing this thing absorbing into Humberto. And a lot of it is because Humberto was supposed to be farther ahead, and it's not. So it won't get absorbed. It's its own system now. And this is the trend of a high-pressure system. One is Humberto, and two would be a Melda, and this is Monday morning, upper-level pattern there. Latest spaghetti models, this is where, I woke up early. You probably saw me posting at 3:30 this morning. Started seeing this European 18Z trend in the middle of some of these are going a little more, west. And I'm not a wishcaster. I'm not saying, it could have, anybody that said Florida's out of the water is foolish, because the Google ensembles and the Euro ensembles were hinting it all along. But the general idea is there's like no recurve on the Euro. You go to the GFS on the left. Yesterday, the GFS had almost no ensembles going towards the U.S. Almost every GFS ensemble yesterday was curving. And maybe the reason I sound a little more amped up is we're getting confidence now, okay? And we're getting to the point where there's somebody's going to have to stress about it, okay? It's when we start to see a real possibility, then maybe I amp it up. Maybe people think that's hype. I don't know, but I like tracking weather. So, and then I went ahead and put the Google ensembles. This is their low pressure output. Okay, they have a FNV or something like that. That one's more cyclone, dependent, and we don't have that yet. And once we have a true center, Google ensembles have been really good, but we don't have one. So, but again, this is only letting people know, hey, there's a good chance that something's going to come up. Okay, again, intensity is so hard to predict. I'm always cautious when the Euro says something, because usually it's intensity on operational models aren't ever reality. We look at the higher mesoscale, HMON, HWARF, the HOFs, okay? Now, earlier the HOFs and stuff were showing like 940, 950. Now that would be not good. The good news on the 6Z runs, if there is good news, is they have toned it down a little bit. Now 981 pressure, 982, 984, 969 is pretty strong. Okay, we haven't had to use the old Sapper Simpson scale thing that I got on my site, but the old way of measuring it is here. Okay, 960 range could be a Cat 2. So those models in the past are really good about intensity. Okay, tracks they've been getting a lot better on. We're going to start using some other tools here as we've got more time in our timeline. But if you go to Tang guidance, okay, we can do trends And if we look at your consensus trends, look, that's a huge shift. The consensus yesterday was here, but then here. So we're going to see if this wobbles back and forth. But we can also look at other things like the Haas B trend. The darkest color is the most latest. The lightest is the earliest. And you can see how it's trended at west. The Haas A kind of trending west. Intensity-wise, I haven't really learned these that well. But you can see this one run that was Cat 3 and, Cat 1. So I don't really, the intensity ones are hard to really. But the one I do like is one that's correct. And do we have enough runs of these yet? I don't think we know if we do or not. There hasn't been enough runs yet. But we do have some that'll start telling us. I think these run once we have an NHC established setup. So they'll tell us which model's been performing the best. So that's that. So we'll do that. So we look at these high intensity models. Like I said, they were a lot scarier the run before. 12Z will be important. But all of these are showing, this is Georgia, South Carolina. So let me show you where we're at. This is Monday. This is Georgia, South Carolina line. This is, this is Florida. This is South Carolina. This is Georgia. And they're all kind of showing that little bend, okay? So, yeah, I mean, trends are what we're going to be watching for. And right now, South Carolina, North Carolina, this is North Carolina here, NC, SC. This is SC. And again, this is all Monday. Obviously, you'll be starting getting bands late Sunday night into Monday. And timing. So I'm looking at these. This is consistency. These are 4 models. Great track record over the years. And when you start to see consistency, you raise up it a notch. That's just my experience. And if we're seeing models do this, where does it stop? That's the bottom line. They usually do this, and then they kind of come back. So how far are they going to go this way before they come back? And that's where we really look at these outliers, and we look at trends, and we look at where things are kind of leaning towards, and what's driving that change. And the big change is this high pressure. So let me go to Tropical Tidbits here and show you. And somehow I got to get Halloween up. So every update I run out, and I got a garage buddy that I can't wait to put up. It's got Penelope the clown that's peeking underneath. So maybe after this live I'll take a little break. But here's the latest GFS. 2 systems. This is Sunday morning. Okay. Watch the yellows or orange and the whites. This is our high pressure. So we're going to have a weak low pressure front line. Okay, originally. And here's the latest. Let me make this a little bit up. Well, I want to see the upper level winds. So here is the 2 highs connected. And this is the trend that we're starting to see. There's 2 high pressures. And there's your high, which pretty much, there's a gap for Umberto, but there's really not a gap for future Imelda. And the latest GFS shows that curving and actually kind of hanging out. And that's where the rain could be tricky. I hope, y'all have dealt with enough rain over the years with flooding events, but this thing slows down and stalls. We could be looking at some big rain totals, but there's your high pressure coming down between the 2 of them, splitting them up. So that's kind of, if the 12Z does it, then I'm going to say that, confidence is there. Here's the Euro, basically doing the same thing, kind of turns it back down. So it's rare to see these 2 agreeing this far out, but basically your Euro kind of stalls them out a little bit. See that? I mean, it could change, but man, I guess my blood pressure went up a little bit when I saw the 12Z right before we went live, because that 6Z still had a split 50-50. But man, that 12Z really changed things up. So there's your Euro. Again, these aren't showing up strong. Again, but then I don't want to, I don't want to underhype it either if it's only a Cat 1, because you guys know what Florence did that up there with you with the stalling system. Here's the GFS showing you that kind of turn setup. See that? And then the Canadian, let's see what it's doing. I didn't even look at it today. Well, kind of the same thing, man. There's 3 models doing the exact same thing, man. That's just crazy. I know yesterday I was talking, it looks like we had high confidence that it was going to follow Humberto, but we had enough ensembles to keep us honest. And if you look back at my posts, I'm glad I did today too, because I always mention the ensembles and say, but then we got the ensembles. You know, we're going to have to worry about these where we need to look. But that's Canadian. I don't even want to look at the AI. It's been terrible this year. But well, there you go. There's your curve out. Maybe that'll happen. But that's what the Euro AI is doing. So there's hope. The Icon, again, has had a crappy year, so I don't even know if it's worth showing it. Yeah, it's following it. So, hey, maybe that'll do that. Maybe the Icon will be right. But like I said, it's had a terrible year. The hurricane-specific models, like I said, these run every 6 hours. I like the parent one because you can see it at a bigger hole here. Well, it doesn't work. It did that yesterday, too. So let's do half A this way. Really not developing it. See, here's the Bahamas. These are pressures, winds, 1,000 millibars. This is actually Sunday morning. So like I said, it might not even be a storm Saturday, but likely on Saturday morning we're going to get something called a PTC, potential tropical cyclone. They'll issue that 72 hours ahead of an actual landfalling system, or when you might start seeing impacts, which was before landfall. So Saturday morning might start getting these PTCs, putting people in watches, even though we don't have a system yet. But half A shows development over the Bahamas this weekend. It's Sunday morning. You know, decent little winds. It'll be rainy. If you look at if you look at the rain maps, let me go back to that. Oh man, where did I go? House. Let's just do H Wharf. Where'd the rain map go? Oh, there it is. Precipitation. Okay, so here's better way to look at it. So that's Sunday morning. Somewhere under all that's the Bahamas. But then it starts to develop it pretty dang quick. 982, 977, 74, 71, 69, 65. So, you know, rain bands Monday morning. This is the H Wharf. And that's pretty hefty looking, right? There's South Carolina, North Carolina line. Outer Banks getting some, you know. If we go to the House A, 982, it's a little bit lower. You know, we got some dry air coming around. It looks like, hopefully keeping it kind of weak. But there's your bands coming in Monday. There's Georgia. Florida would be on the drier side if that were to skirt just off the coast. Haas B showing a little bit closer to Florida. 984. So that would be close enough to be getting some definite impacts. This would be Monday. And then at Georgia, South Carolina line right here. So everything we got to look at now is pretty dang consistent. So I guess we wait until the 12Z and see if there's any change. But, you know, overall I think we're going to see some dry air possibly mingling with this thing, because we are going to have somewhat of a, let me go over here to Recon's out there, by the way, too. There's the hurricane hunters. They're probably just measuring upper level winds, humidity, dry air, the environment ahead, steering currents. So they put all this into the models, and it helps predict the future a whole lot better when they actually know the true environment ahead. Of course, we got stuff like, I looked at the moon cycle. It's not on a full or new moon, but let's see. But what am I looking at here? I guess we can just look at this and see if we can. I gotta zoom it out. I can't keep going up and down like that. All right. So let's see. There's that front line. We get that big old high coming in. See this dry air around the backside? That might help limit the some. So it's kind of going into a dry air mass. Could be getting some wrapped around dry air on its passing by. And the Euro showing that too. So there will be some dry air, hopefully, to help limit it. But You know, if you look up here where the old front line is, it actually could fuel into this. Sometimes this actually fuels a developing system. Sometimes these mid-level, upper-level lows actually help a system because they'll supply juice and fuel. Kind of see that merging up in there. This is moisture. It's tricky. Less tricky than it was yesterday, though. Tricky yesterday because we had models every which way. I do want to show something before I forget. I want to look at the rain maps, because if we did have let's go to South Carolina, for example. This will zoom in a little better, I think. That's south. We can just do southeast. Screw it. All right, well, actually, we got to go higher than that. Here's the north. Let's go to Mid-Atlantic. See if that'll show everybody. Mid-Atlantic. Might show everybody. Kind of does. But anyway, we're seeing purple. Okay, purple is double digits. And that's a part. Let me zoom in a little closer now. Let's just go North Carolina for now. But purple's double digits. And if this thing hooks around and turns, then it might have a little more time to even rain more. So that wouldn't be good. So here's just zooming in on North Carolina. But obviously, you know, purple's double digits. And widespread 5, 6, 7, 8 inches across Carolinas. Not seeing anything in the 20 range, but obviously areas that don't want to be reminded about rain are possibly going to see rain. Now, obviously this changes with the track 100%. If this thing turns, guess what? You don't get any rain. But you know, this is starting to definitely show a system coming up. This is, you know, Monday, but then we really get it come up in there. So, and the GFS is a little bit to the south because it's predicting a lower landfall now. But you can also see some purple rain right there. So that's what we got to watch for also. And then we also have an EPS mode, but it's kind of gonna be tough right now. They're not gonna isolate it because they're all right. So there's that. That's it for that. That's just something that evolves. We really don't. You really, until you really know if it's going to do that or not. Because every model, if you do a model blend, it's not predicting all these possible tropical impacts. So I don't look at these model blends as much. So anything else I want to look at, and we'll look at some comments. So I don't really think there's anything worth saying other than we got to really watch it because of the timing. You know, coastal impacts. You know, worst case, let's say riding up the coast, we can look at. I wanted to show you these. All right, let's look at this real quick. These are your Euro ensembles, but a couple of them catch my eye is these down here on the bottom. Now, we learned the ensembles aren't, you know, guarantees, but, you know, we're seeing more outliers now than over here is what I'm getting at. So it'll be real important in the afternoon runs to see if this trend continues or not. Because eventually models will wiggle up, they'll flip-flop, they'll windshield wiper, they'll adjust themselves, they'll say, all right, we're going a little west, and then they usually come back a little bit. But, you know, if we see the 12Z models run again and we see more to the west, then yeah, it's apparent somebody in the U.S. East Coast is going to be dealing with something as early as Sunday. But, you know, yesterday was more about eliminating the 50-50 split. We're slowly doing that. Now it's going to be looking at even the weird outliers that always end up kind of getting us. Because if you go back here, and let's say one of these stray outliers actually did something, let's just say one of these was correct. That's Sunday night. Now, obviously, 2 out of 51 is very irresponsible as a forecast, but, you know, we always look at these outliers. And, you know, they're 990, 990, 978, you know. Same thing up here. That's Monday now, so But there you go. And there's quite a few, couple popping a little bit. So that's the Euro. Let's look at GFS ensembles. Again, I guess the biggest takeaway for me today was that the GFS basically was 100% no yesterday, that this was not going to recurve. And now we're seeing a lot of them showing. But we still have some curving. But this is the 00Z. Let's see what the 6Z did. A little bit more. Maybe it won't even fizzle. Maybe it won't even develop. But I don't know. What was the models? It was I don't know. There's that, and then of course the general Google DeepMind here. Basic idea right there. All these over here are Humberto. And they all kind of slow down and stall a little bit too. Notice a lot of these at the end are starting to circle around. You're seeing this kind of stall and just kind of do this. So that's where we're at. Man, God, it's such a 180 difference from yesterday. That's why we never turn your back on the tropics. I'm telling you. Right? All right, so I promise I'm going to read comments now for about 15, 20 minutes, okay? Was there an announcement on what time this live was? It's the same time for the last 10 years. Sorry, not to be an ass, but if you go to go to my website, Next Daily Brew, right up here, Thursday, 9/25, 9/19. There's your announcement. So sorry though, you didn't see it, but sorry. That was mean of me, I guess. Sorry. We try to announce it enough, but anyway, you go back and watch it. Thoughts on intensity, Laura? I think let me go turn on my TikTokers here. I don't want to, and I want to drink coffee with you too. So let me go over here. I can never find how to get on. Oh, God. Oh, there it is. Watch Mike's live. Okay. New Jersey safe. Mark, so far it looks pretty good. Cool, Ashley. Well, good to see you over there. Amanda misses your warm Florida. Do I think it's going to go west towards Florida? Well, it would be irresponsible to make a guess, except huge shift to the west. You would almost think it's going to continue one or two more cycles. So I would be more worried about that. Yes, that would give it less time to develop. But again, we've learned in the past, tropical systems only need 2 to 3 days to go from nothing to something. So 2 days over those Caribbean warm waters, would be enough that it would at least strengthen into something. So Treasure Coast, I don't know. I would casually keep an eye on it. Everybody's asking individual spots. Now, come on now. East Coast, yes, you should be watching it. Possible landfall TC, yes, good question. Landfall would be Monday-ish, later Monday, my best guess. But you'd start feeling outer bands as early as maybe Sunday night, Monday morning. Caribbean to watch out of this? Nope. Down the road, there was some hints in the Caribbean pulling up in the Gulf, but we're not going to talk about that because you know what? That GFS run that everybody... If I had $1 for everybody to ask me about the October GFS run yesterday, I'd be rich. But now, guess what? The next run, it didn't show it. That's what happens when you look long range. So we got the CAG setup coming. We got La Nina. Yeah, I personally would be shocked if we didn't have something in the Caribbean Gulf to track first week October. Charleston, you're definitely watching close. Heck, what are you talking about? You're right under the gun. So, Hilton Head, yes. Robin, how's it going, buddy? So, yeah, I mean... Yep, Michael J., it's gone today. Savannah, yes, you should be watching. All y'all, listen, South Carolina watching the most. North Carolina, Georgia, about the same. Florida, yes. Levels. If there were levels, I think level 1 would be South Carolina, level 2 would be Georgia, Level 3 would be a tie between North Carolina and Florida at this point. So, what's up, Richard? How's it going, buddy? Chris Peterson, OHC. Yeah, I want to show you that. Great question. We'll keep it live for a while. I'll come back and read comments. But OHC, what is OHC? OHC is ocean heat content, okay? Ocean heat content is the amount of fuel underneath the surface that storms can use. Now, one thing about Aaron formed over 82 degrees water. Gabrielle was over 82 degrees water. They were more middle upper Atlantic, okay? They did not have the best environment with water temps. But look, even where this is Gabrielle's at now, it's still 85 miles an hour. But current ocean heat content here, let's just click on the storm itself. So if you want to do really good, go to Storm Products, and that's the wrong storm. That's Humberto. Right here, Storm Products, and I have all these on my app too. All these links. So if you go here, this is the current placement. You got all kinds of tools and toys to play with. We go sea surface temperature right there. All right, sea surface temperature is fixing to emerge in the hottest waters. 30 degrees Celsius, which is what, 85, 86 degrees, I think. I'm not sure. What is that, Shelly? We can click on ocean heat content, and then bam, that's where we're heading into. Yellows and oranges and reds. That's, and this is why the Caribbean and the Gulf I'm worried about, because that's untapped energy. But these greens and yellows is where Aaron and Gabrielle formed. So it's going into some even hotter water. That's one piece of the puzzle. Now we can look at dry air on this map too, which is great. Somewhere. That's precipitable water. There's a lot of moisture. Precipitable water is needed. So there's not a lot of dry air if you're looking at that. Where the hell is it, man? I'm like lost here. Maybe they took it off. Huh. Oh, come on. It's right here. I'm going to look at every single button here, because now it's the IR, visible, IR. Huh. OHC, TP. I don't see it anymore. Am I lost? Deep shear, mid shear, convergence, divergence. Oh, there it is. Last button. All right. You go 8 kilometers too, and you can get a wider look. So there's not a lot of dry air. Dry air is yellows. There's a lot of dry air behind. This is the front that came through right here. So all this red indicates dry air behind the continental U.S. there. So there's not a lot of dry air either. So dry air is not an issue. Shear could be in the short term. Shear, I bet it's so hard to predict shear. I don't even want to. Actually, shear isn't going to be bad. You know why? We got a front to the north, and once it passes this upper level low that it's dealing with, and you can see it right here. It's once it passes, it's going to be in a light pocket of wind shear. Definitely. So it's in a rough spot with it. Well, it's got two big negatives right now. It's Hispaniola and wind shear. But once it passes that, but I'll tell you that the tricky thing is just where the center's at. And if the little birdie is correct that called me, little birdie text me if you're listening, but if the little birdie is correct, then we might see a little shift south on the next update, because it sure looked like that last night. It doesn't really matter though. It's all the same. Steering currents are the same. Your local meteorologist suggests me. That's crazy, Stacy. Well, that's cool. 3 cat 4. I don't. Well, you never want to guess that. You just always, Good rule of advice the state of Florida uses is if it's a forecast to be a 1, prepare for a 2. South Carolina, heck yeah, definitely looks interesting. Brian, thank you, buddy. Next update from the National Hurricane Center for this is going to be 2 p.m. Eastern. Models that are important to me are going to start running at 11:30. You can watch them on Tropical Tidbits. So we'll see what the new GFS does. Ensembles are usually out around a couple hours later, and then the GFS, and then the Euro runs at 1:30 usually, and then of course the resolution models are around the same. So noon, there's a lot of models. And then the Euro's usually about 2 hours behind. So anyway, a lot of Outer Banks folks. Everybody's watching. David's got 2 cats. Where'd that come from? Lineman watching close. Brent, all right. Hey, I was talking to Tammy Kent this morning. We got a cooler giveaway we're going to post today again. We've already mailed out 4 coolers, Yetis, custom Yetis. Little thank you to all of our fans from OSR. They 10-year anniversary, so they had 10 Yetis to give away, free. So this theme is going to be your best sports picture because I love sports. So watch for that. Submit a picture. We're going to randomly draw someone, maybe 2, and you'll get a complimentary free Yeti that's got Mike's Twitter page on it and OSR. Speaking of linemen, it's a lineman company. Brian, exactly. I kind of hinted to that. A shift west would mean a quicker Sunday, Monday. If. It's a big if. But I'm telling you, don't read this as hype, but anybody in South Florida, northward, definitely should be keeping one eye on this because, if we're seeing shifts west with less recurving, you got to keep an eye on it, okay? If anybody told you Florida's out of the woods, I tell you, I'm not rooting for it to come to anybody, but I always say never in the tropics. I have never once said Florida, you're in the clear, ever. What did I talk about? Intensity. No, I didn't. Oh, well, no, I didn't really stop. Oh, that was a long time. I'm looking way back there. Holy cow. Charleston, more Charleston people. A lot of South Carolina people. Any steering that can make Florida more in play? Yeah, Julian. If that high pressure bill is a little stronger, yes. It's really coming down to that high pressure system. Yesterday, it was expected that this Humberto was going to split the gap and pull 94 with it, a weaker 94. What appears to be happening is this is slowed down. We're seeing a high now possibly develop, and this is getting trapped with no escape. That's kind of what it looks like it's happening. And you got to remember, high pressures flow this direction. So we started getting some easterly upper level wind flow. That's the steering current, okay? And I bet you the windy map can show you this too. We're going to have lobster tonight, man. I heard Krabby Bill's. It's International Lobster Day, apparently. So it's almost getting time where we don't do dinner, and I wait till the 11 o'clock update and do dinner after. So, but let's look at winds and go altitude. Let's go to 600. 500 is fine. Let's go to Monday. And you kind of see it. I mean, you kind of see the high pressure building in. The high pressure flow. See that big high pressure flow right here? We talked about the Bermuda High all year long, but there it is. And it's kind of driving. Now this thing's going to move out, giving Humberto a chance to escape it, but that's a timing thing where this high is actually going to help steer if that's the path. If that makes sense. I think it makes sense. I don't know. Probably change at noon, but so nothing's changed in my messaging except now I think we need to be a little more paying attention. That's all. There's less recurve. It's just obvious there's less recurve. Look at the latest Big Eddy models. So that's a big change. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen models change that quick, except we've seen it and some will give you a hint into the future. And I think we kind of saw that coming a little bit. So that's it. Lobster tails, Robin. I love lobster. Man, they're so little, man. They don't last long. So I take smaller bites. And hey, I didn't move my Brew Crew mic today. Is it coming in good? Testing. Oh well. Well, that's it for me. I rambled on. I don't know what else to say. There's no official forecast in any of this stuff. It's just this is what we do here. We look at trends. We talk about ifs and whats. You know, there's nothing other than just watch this evolve. You know, it's a sloppy mess, but if it did clear Hispaniola, then it's going to have a chance to start tapping up now, or tightening up now. But those big blobs of convection under Hispaniola are definitely suspicious. So you can see the winds going around the island. I don't know how you would determine where it's at, to tell you the truth. That's something I don't really understand yet. I mean, obviously they do it on the tip of the wave at, but until it clears on out of there. It had a good 500 level spin earlier, but maybe it'll fizzle. I don't think it will, though. That's a lot of convection. That's a big burst of convection right there. Oh, that's the wrong storm. Well, both are doing it. It's like a switch went off. Didn't I tell you the tropics are like a switch? Gabrielle and these two systems, look at that. Boof, bubble, bubble, bubble. So, anyway. Okay, so all the exact questions nobody knows except we're just kind of watching. And we know that high intensity models are predicting a hurricane. We know timeline. Worst case, if it hit South Florida, it'd be Sunday night. More than likely, if it goes to Georgia or South Carolina, it'd be more Monday. If it recurs, nobody cares. But hell in Georgia on Wednesday, no, it could still be lingering. It looks like it's the latest look is it's going to go up to wherever and just kind of sit there for a day, so it might rain. But Ian, what's up, buddy? What did you mail, Rick? I got something. My wife's going there today, buddy. There's a couple things I got a nice mug I want to share, but I'm going to do it when we're not talking tropics. So if you're waiting on that, and I got a nice mat I want to show. So I know we have two things left that we need to do a shout out to. So anyway, all right, I will go to the Brew Crew now and talk to them, and we'll be live tomorrow. And we might start our nightly lives maybe. So I'll talk to Shelly about that. There's really nothing I want to recap, nurse. That's funny. Not seen any more waves, Dawn. Nothing yet. I mean, there were some signs of the Caribbean and the Gulf that were, and I haven't even looked today. It's so hard to predict one storm. I kind of laughed about that yesterday, but where is it? We got some new stuff here. Oh, they changed our site. Look at that. Hey, does anybody pay for weather models? We just got new stuff, man. We have Index 94. Oh, I like these. These are the ones that show you individual speed and stuff. Wow. Let's see what they look like. Project Eagle. And here's your pressures. Most of the members are right up to South Carolina. I'm not sure what know an Eagle. I think that's a new one they're using. An ensemble blend. A couple of them are curving. It's not a guarantee. None of them are into Florida, skirting Florida. I'm not really sure how successful that model is. Euro AI, all over the dang place. But again, keeping that theme up. We're starting to see nothing showing up there to talk about. I mean, we're still getting some signs in the Gulf, like the first week of October. But no more, no less than we've been seeing. So I'm not going to guess on that one. But yeah, So there you go. Forecasts can change. But I think it was very important to stress the trend change. I think if you read my tone yesterday, it was about just not sure. Nobody was sure. There was a lot of chaos and tricky, and models were every which way. But every day closer, things get a little more believable. And, here we are. That's a significant change. Now, again, some people might be saying, yeah, it might only be a hurricane or whatever. But, hey, again, every storm's different. I've learned to never discredit any storm. Every storm has its own impacts. We don't know what this storm's going to be, if it's going to be anything. And I please hope nobody got out of this thing as a hyper wish casting. Maybe it won't materialize. I guess the biggest fear of anybody that does what I do, or anybody does, is it changes. And then you're like, oh man, I wouldn't know until, if it changes, it changes. But that's life, and we just go over it. But I do see this high pressure setup coming down, and the front not being as strong as it might have been, allowing that high to. And like I said, the euro is the king when it comes to reading high pressure. So I really don't want to look at anybody else's at this point, because the euro is king when it comes to high pressure readings. Let's see what the 6Z look like. Because the 6Z EPS should be out by now. And it goes out far enough in time that we can see that. So let's look at 500. Phone's beeping somewhere. Oh, what's going on? This is the 18Z, still showing. Did I miss the 18Z? Or 6C? I missed the 6C. Well, it's still showing a landfall in South Carolina. How did I miss the 6C? Well, it didn't change, but there's the same pattern. There's your high pressure, not given. We're looking at 500 millibar. There's Humberto going to find that gap, but Amel does not. Boy, I don't know. What was the pressure on that one? I wonder. It looks kind of strong. What was the, let's see, what was the 18Z? Do I have a wind map on this one? I'm trying to guess the pressure, but not dew point. I'll bring it down to 986. The euro usually underdoes usually the euro underdoes intensity, but there you go. There's the latest 18Z or 6Z euro, 12 hours ahead. So there's two runs of the euro back to back showing landfall, and again you start to feel the effects Monday and possible landfall late Tuesday or late Monday into Tuesday early morning hours. That would be almost daybreak right there, Tuesday morning. 00Z did the same thing. Right there. So it did trend a little bit south. There was a 00Z euro, and the latest 6Z just came. Hey, I didn't say 18Z. And the latest GFS is not on this map. The UK, let's look at that. We didn't look at the UK. No, I did earlier. We didn't do it together, but it didn't show anything. It didn't develop our system. Had a weak low. KMA, let's see what that one did. I haven't used this one yet. It sucked it up into it. So there's still a few holding on to that idea of nothing happens, and it pulls up into Humberto. So I would say those are outliers at this point. Latest GFS on exact operation. It's okay to use operational runs when you're within 4 or 5 days. They need to change the dew point. I keep clicking dew point. Oh, we don't have a pressure on this map. I don't know. That's what it was. 8 millimeter. That sucks. Well, let's look at the winds. This is the latest GFS. It basically showed you South Carolina also. So you have three runs, the GFS there, the last 2 Euro, and see that thing start to hook in? If that high builds in, it's going to hook in sooner. Overnight 00Z GFS curved like big time. So you talk about a 180 flip-flop. But the 12Z is going to be really important. If it doesn't flip-flop at 12Z, then I would say this is almost a possibility. Okay. All right. That's about it. But when should you prep in Charleston? Well, I don't know. These are all questions you guys have to realize. What do you think, Bobby? Have you ever seen them change that quick on spaghetti? Waffle House closing? not in Oldsmar. But in all seriousness, I do this till about 2 or 3 days before a storm hits. Oh, we'll look at those ensembles, Julian. I don't know if they've run yet, though, have they? Once we get close to, quote, impact landfall, man, you really, really need to turn to your local meteorologists. They know everything. Details, closures, roads, evacuations. I can't provide any of that stuff. We just talk about the what ifs, leading up to it. But definitely, if you're new to storms and you're nervous, 100% local meteorologists are who I would recommend. Because A, they build your trust. You get to know somebody you like. You start to relate to them or her or him. Them, I said, not him. Them, him, her. Anybody ever watch that Nicole Kidman weather movie? That was kind of weird. And they'll get you through it. I mean, I'm friends with Shay Gibson. I'm Ed Petrowski, this area. I'm not really familiar with many more. So that's tough for me. I know Ed Petrowski's a good Met in the Carolinas. I'm sure some of y'all watch him. 6Z's out. Oh my goodness, let's do this together. This is like a drum roll. This is the weird thing about what I do. There's a weird suspense for me because now I'm looking at trends. What does the 18Z Euro think? Do they go back to C? They're turning. They're going north. We have some. Still, North Carolina's in play. But none of them are curving. I'm telling you, if not one European ensemble is curving now, you pretty much know that it's going to be something to talk about. And there's still a few in Florida and Georgia there. These little random, weaker ones. So yeah, I mean, it's everybody should be raising their messaging a little bit more. It's just so weird. Yesterday we had this 50-50 split, and the reason was Humberto was supposed to be pulling our system, and Humberto slowed way down because the steering currents are very weak out there. It's going to let Humberto really possibly get into a major hurricane. Yeah, true, Bobby. We got better data. They're reading the high pressure up there. We talked about yesterday that high pressure was going to seal off and we were going to have a high develop between the two, and it looks like that's happening. Euro's great at reading things, yes. What day, best life? This would be Monday morning. So, and this is, you got to fast forward 12 hours on any system. So this says Monday morning. For the extreme ones that are making possible landfall, then you would start to see rain bands Sunday night. Now, these are the timing outliers, which go fast. This would be more Monday, later Monday in the, possibly Tuesday morning. The actual Euros itself is showing like sunrise Tuesday morning, but Euro's king, but there's others. But that's a pretty good sign that we're not seeing any curve. So that's, man, it's hard to say that's not gonna happen, or that's hard to say this is gonna prove to be wrong. So an hour ago, I never had it hitting. Luke, what are you talking about, buddy? No, I have the general area. South Carolina, man, you the last 2 Euros, what are you talking about? Trying to predict an exact hit is impossible right now. But what you are seeing, 3 runs South Carolina, that's pretty darn confidence for something within 5 days, But every storm in my life, 2 days before landfall, it's usually shifted one way or the other. Here's the latest Euro and the latest 6Z Euro. There's the latest 6Z Euro, and then of course I already showed you GFS. Here's the latest 6Z GFS. Loading. And we gotta rewind it. There it is. There's the latest. So that's 6 runs, man. But I never predicted any specific spot. I try never to do that. So, all right. I provided some info. Spaghetti models. I got you, Luke. The post about spaghetti models. This one, that's the latest 12Z spaghetti models. I didn't mean to be rude, man. There you go. It's just the cone starts to do this, And this system could be broad and wide. It could be a sloppy, because every system is different. Like, you can't focus on the center line because the worst part of a storm is the outer northeast side. So, this thing's going to be spiraling in waves and winds, and who knows how far deep it. If it did that, you're going to get a lot of effects on the northeast side. So, we can't get too wrapped up on that. And too early for surge. We don't know. Surge all depends on, you got a little deeper shelf over there, but you still get high water on a normal high king tide, right? So surge is hard to predict based on the size and the speed of a storm. So yes, there's going to be surge if it does make landfall. This is impossible to guess that right now. It's all based on intensity and speed and size. But those are details that get tweaked as more definite tracks. So we're in the track stage right now. So, but listen, I really appreciate it, guys and gals. April, when will they start posting about a meltdown? Here's the deal. So they'll probably, if it's not developed by Saturday morning or maybe Friday night even, I don't know, but they'll issue something called a PTC. It's a potential tropical cyclone, they call it, because in the years ago, they could not issue watches or warnings unless there was an actual system. And within 72 hours, there's going to be a system. So they go ahead and just issue the watches and warnings to get people prepared. So that could come as early as Saturday morning, my guess. Maybe Friday night. Heck, it might. I don't know. If we see more shifts, I don't know. I would think we're going to see a little more shift, just based on the models. But that will be yet to be seen. All right, but listen, I'm going to do a video here, a little 90-second recap. I'll do a little 90-second recap later tonight. We'll probably be live at night. I'll get with Shelly. Today's Thursday, so we'll do some lives we'll definitely do lives over the weekend, guaranteed, right, Shelly? We'll talk about that, whatever works, Sheila. So we'll do one Saturday for sure, one tomorrow for sure. If we see a significant shift or confidence, then we might do something later. But just stay tuned. We'll let you know. You can always go back and watch it. But appreciate it, and we gained a lot of new followers over the last 6 months. A lot of people were on TikTok. lovers and haters. Maybe the haters will change your tune a little bit. So, all right. Well, have a great day.